welcome back to Around the Clock. We are in the garage of the current Ashland Police Station, and we are here with Chief Alfano. Chief, welcome back to Around the Clock.
Thank you very much.
Now, this is a little bit of a bittersweet interview for us today because we're talking about your retirement from the Ashland Police Department.
That is correct. June 30th.
June 30th, so that's going to be here before we know it. You've been with the Ashland Police Department 2.5 years now?
Yes.
And how long were you interim before Michael Herbert made you permanent?
About 3 months.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you think you'd be staying here this long when you took on that interim position?
No, I didn't, because it was presented to me as just basically to hold the fort until they hire a permanent chief. But in about 3 months, I kind of fell in love with everybody here and fell in love with the town. And unfortunately, I guess the town liked me. So
I was going to say, I think the residents fell in love with you as well. I remember that first summer you'd show up at the farmers market and at all the events, and of course that was pre-pandemic. So
yes.
So 2.5 years, high points and low points. What's been the toughest thing for you in these 2.5 years?
I think probably the toughest thing was the pandemic for all of us.
Yeah.
Because we had to carry on business as usual. The police department could not work from home.
Right.
And we have shifts that we have to staff. We have a certain minimum of officers and staff that we needed every shift to provide law enforcement services and emergency coverage. And we don't have a lot of staff. So if we had a lot of people out sick, that would really affect our operations. So we had to put right from the very beginning a lot of precautions in place to keep us safe and to keep everyone else safe.
Did you have any issues with COVID that any officers got it?
Very few, minimal, which is almost a miracle because the officers are out all day going to calls with people who had COVID and were exposed to people all the time, sometimes very closely, and it was difficult, but they did it. And I really praise the staff because they came in every day, every single day, and it was tough because when they're in here and they're dealing with exposure to COVID, they have to go home to their families,
right? And
there's a risk of transmitting that to their families. So
we are certainly fortunate to have such a great police department. COVID was, of course, one of the down points. What was the high point of the 2.5 years here?
The high point, meeting the staff, working with them every day and seeing them in action. Every day I'm astounded at the work that the police staff, and I'm including everybody in that, and I'll also include the auxiliary police staff in that as well. What they do every day is nothing short of amazing. Unless it's on the news or on TV or in the newspaper, you really don't see the things that they do every day. And a lot of the things are not, very high-profile things, but just the small things add up the day-to-day.
Now, we've had an increase in our police force. So when you started, how many officers did we have?
Actually, we're short three right now because of officers going to other agencies or retirements. Okay. So we're actually in the process with civil service to hire 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because I remember we gained a bunch, but I guess we hear about the people coming on. We don't always necessarily hear about the people that are leaving. So.
Right. We had one officer take a job as a federal agent.
Yep.
We had another officer retire. Actually, 2 officers retired. So.
Wow. So you're retiring.
Yes.
What is retirement going to look like for you? Because it's different for everybody.
Yes. A very full schedule retirement will look like for me. Because when I first started, when I came on board as interim chief, prior to that, we had bought an old farm, and we were renovating it, and it needed a lot of renovation, and getting all the permits. We basically rejuvenated the old farm. It had been a farm for 100 years. And then when I accepted the position here, everything kind of stopped or went on. Basically just working on it, a day here, a day there.
So you have a list of things that you're going to be starting on.
A list of things, yes.
On July 1st.
Yeah, oh boy, the list is already there.
Well, Chief, the other thing that you've helped with is getting the public safety building permitted and planned, and of course we all know, we've seen the work, the shovel in the ground. How does that make you feel, being able to help get that finally passed and moving here in town?
That, when I accepted the position, I had 2 goals. One goal was to improve the morale and the working condition for the officers as immediately as I could. Yep. And the second goal was to take the experience that I had already with public safety buildings and do whatever I could to assist the town so that they could get the officers out of this facility. Yes. This facility, not only is it's outdated, it's dangerous. Yeah. And it's every day there's a safety risk when the officers are working in this building. And we're very fortunate the town and the town government supported both the fire department and the police. And we're really two unified departments, the fire department and police. We work together daily. Many of the officers, they're friendly together. We go to the same calls.
Right.
We really rely on each other. And the fact that they're basically going to be home in a building together it's so good for efficiency for both departments. It's so good for morale and safety.
Good. Well, Chief, thank you so much for talking to us. Thank you for your time here in Ashland and being on around the clock the number of times that you have. I wish you well in retirement. I know there's a celebration coming up at some point, so I look forward to getting to give you some more congratulations at that.
Well, thank you. I remember when I first started, one of my first official acts was your show.
Was coming on around the clock.
So
we're coming full circle.
That's
we had you when you started, and now as you are exiting and heading back to retirement.
Right.
Well, Chief, thank you so much for coming on around the clock.
Well, thank you.
And we'll be back with more.